Happy Sabbath. Oh, thank you. And the handy thing. So now you got me in trouble because at home, whenever I see something similar, such as this, at home, I think, oh, this is a pointer now. It is not a tool for anything else other than pointing. Thank you. It's a blessing to be here with you all today. And I do pray that the Lord can bring you a message because this was a message for my understanding, for personal growth, and the title is Amen. I'm Seeing Differently by Him. Have you ever been misjudged by someone? People looking at you and saying, he's not so smart, or she's not so smart, or they're too poor, not to my liking, or they're too tall or too short, or whatever other characteristics one may hold, or appearances one may hold. As I said, I'll talk about this in the sermon today. His name was Jean-François Gravelet, a Frenchman known also professionally as Charles Blondin. He becomes the first challenging person or interesting or stunt person to go across the Niagara Falls in a tightrope. I'll use the idea later on. First, I would like to show you this picture, please. Oh, I do have the controller. Sorry about that. Who is this handsome fella right here? Joe, is that you? Is that you, Jojo? No. This picture has 37 years. Who is this person in the middle right here? You met this girl, now lady. That's my sister. Me in the middle, and my older brother on the right side. Yes, right side for you. Okay. Check this out. A third of the body is my head. All the pictures I have, they were all tilting or leaning back. I was always falling. Why? Because my head was very, very disproportional to my body. I was the last of all the siblings and all the cousins. Whenever you get to a place, the last. All the positions are already taken, right? Favorite son or niece, nephew, or grandkid. The funnest or the most fun, the fastest one, the one that eats the most, everything is already taken. Am I complaining about this? No. But you'll see the reason why. So this is me, Naomi, and my grandma, Palmita. It has to do with palm trees in our language. So this was my upbringing. My father is a pastor. He comes from a different country called Peru to Brazil. So you have some sort of knowledge if you were born in this country and you have lived your whole life in this country. But if you're born in a different country and you come to a certain place, everyone, most of the time, everyone will look at you differently until they realize that you are a good person. You're not meaning bad things. You're there to help or to participate or to be a good citizen. Then things may change. You know what I'm talking about. So that's the thing. Usually people look at you and they don't think the best. Or is it just me? Does that only happen to me? Oh, he's too young, or he's too old, or he's too weak, or he's too whatever. What we heard before, Elder Merle, he just read, what are those feeble Jewish people doing? What is the meaning of this? I was born the last one. I grew up very thin. I used to weigh, by the age of almost 11, I used to weigh under 50 pounds. Joseph weighs 39 pounds, and he's 5 years old. I was twice his age, almost not the same height as I am right now, but almost as tall as Angel. But she weighs almost 70 pounds, and I used to weigh less than 50. Large head, skinny body. Kids called me all the names that they wanted to. And back then, bullying was not a problem. We all grew up with bullies and being bullied or bullying someone, right? Right? Or is it just back in my country? It's also here. Nowadays, people are just looking down on those practices. But you still grew up and you still prevailed. People were calling you names. People were putting it down. People were saying, oh, he or she is too weak. He or she is too poor. He or she is too unnecessary. They'll never amass to anything. By the age of 11, half of my classmates were already either doing drugs or having partners in the class already. What I'm trying to say is, this man saw the city burnt up, a heap of rubble, heaps and heaps of rubble. And he saw whatever he saw, and he said, there's no way these people can do anything about this. They will never be able to overcome this challenge. Whenever you read here, what are those feeble Jews doing? Will they restore their wall? Will they offer sacrifices? First of all, he called them names. Name calling is whatever society is doing now. Whatever they cannot argue with, they call it names. Do we get anywhere calling people names? It leads to violence. He was calling them feeble. Okay. Will they restore their wall? He was mocking first their power. Second, now he's mocking their will, their decisions. Third, what is he mocking? Will they offer sacrifices? What is this person mocking now? This person named Sambalat. Their religion. He's mocking their God. Usually we say, you can mock anything, but don't mock my God. Guess what God tells you? You can mock me all you want, but don't mock my protected person. Don't mock my loved one. I will fight you. I will stand up for this person. That's what God shows us all throughout the Bible. I will fight for those who are mine. Nobody will ever be able to take them from my grasp. Can you imagine this? God standing up and saying, I got you. Don't worry about this now. Whatever they said, it's immaterial. I'll take care of this. One last thing. They will finish it in a day, meaning they have no projects. They have no idea whatever they're doing. They have no ability to get this done. Can they bring stones back to life from those heaps of rubble? It is not just a heap of rubble. What we're seeing here, it's burnt heaps of rubble. Mountains and piles of burnt stones or bricks or whatever it was that the walls were built of. Burnt as they are. Okay, can you restore something that has been burnt? What does it become? Ash. What do we see here? Have you ever seen a burnt building? Those who work in construction, we see that all the time. Burnt areas, kitchens especially. We have to restore, we have to change the beams, we have to change so many things. But back then, they used to not only burn stuff to the ground, but they also would burn most stuff. And if it was a very impenetrable wall around the city, they would leave the towers, some towers, just so people could always look around and see, wow, that's a very mighty tower. That was such a mighty wall all around the city, just as a momentum, a token, so people would realize the power that the conquering people would hold. They would not lay everything down, but most of it would be down. But towers standing 60 feet tall, the walls in Jerusalem were enough, large enough. I'm not saying long enough, I'm saying large enough for 2 chariots to ride on top with space. Okay? Not tight, with space. You can imagine almost the length of this church, the width of this church as being a wall all the way up there. And miles and miles and miles of wall. Can you imagine such a power? And the conquering people just left a few of those. And what this Sanballat is saying, they will never be able to get this done. All right. This is me at the age of 10 or 11. This is me at the age of 12, still very thin, as I said. But here's the thing. Whenever everything around you, as I said, kids at the age of 12, they got unalived. Because we do have live transmission on YouTube, I have to mind whatever I say. They got unalived, if you understand what I'm saying, by the age of 12 due to drugs. This was constant. My classmates, a few of them, suffered the same fate because of drugs. They owed the drug lord, and instead of using a bullet, he would use a knife because it was such a small amount, so he did not want to waste money. This is what I grew up with. As I said, my dad was a pastor, but he was being a pastor in the place that God needed him to be. But the pastor's family, they go through a lot. It is a calling for the pastor, but it's also a calling that we cannot say yes or no as PKs, as children. So please pray for my kids. Please pray for my kids. So at that moment, whenever there's no chance for you to do anything, I could not move away from home at the age of 11. I did end up moving away from home at the age of 14 and never came back. So 24 years, almost 24 years ago, I moved away from home and never went back there. Just to visit, of course, but never to live back there. At the age of 11, you see people getting murdered, shot down. You see banks being robbed all around you. What can you do? You can't. Everything that you see, everywhere that you go, there's violence. My teacher at 7th grade, she came to us and said, none of you will ever amass to anything because you're the worst students I've ever had. Have you heard this before from a teacher? That is supposed to be doing what? Supporting or teaching you. And she comes to you and says, you are nothing. You're terrible. You're not so bright either. So you're being the youngest sibling and grandkid. Okay, you're fighting battles that your older siblings never had to. Of course, the first one is, as most people say, yeah, they have to trailblaze the pathway of being a son or daughter. Yes, it is true. But the youngest one is my case. So I have to say that it's also hard. It's not the easiest. But you also have to fight for things in school, in society, and everywhere. Can you relate to this? Or has your life been very, very, very easy to live with? No. You see no solution. And there might be no solution for you at some point. But at that moment, you cry out to God and say, what? Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. I cannot deal with this by myself. Lord, please listen to me. Who else can you call? If your parents or if your counselors, if your teachers cannot help you or cannot deliver you from the situation, or your spouse is yet to be known to you. Because we do get strength from our spouses. So, Chris, thank you so much for the 13 years. On the 30th of September, we celebrated our 13th year of being married. So, when nothing can help you, where do you go to? There's no way out. What do? You pray. And even at that moment that you're praying, you still have the idea, everything else failed me. Will God also fail me? Or will he ever hear my prayer? Have you ever had this thought? Will God listen to my prayer? So you also prayed like this. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Please let my cry come to you. I have nothing else. I have tried everything, but nothing else seems to be working. So, skipping forward because we are running out of time here, or we have run out of time. Skipping forward many, many years and many other experiences. We were pastoring at a place called Ouro Preto. And due to time, I will just not talk about this. But this is the church, a few churches that we were taking care of. They gathered at our place to say goodbye because we took a leave to become missionaries and study. And then I ended up going to two places. One is Georgia and the other one is New York. And in New York, we met your grandma. Where is Wyatt? Wyatt. Okay, he's there, back there. We met his grandma. And later on, at some point, we ended up at the meeting that we held in June, where a few of your brothers and sisters from this church were present. June last year. And we got called to be pastors here. So God does accompany you through many things, even though you may feel you were cheated on something, someone did you wrong, or they have been unjust or unkind to you. God still listened to your prayer. And whenever he listens to your prayer, this is what you can say. In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. I took my troubles. This is a different translation. I took my troubles to the Lord. I cried out to him, and he answered my prayer. At the moment you need him the most, or at the moment everything seems to be going against you, what can you do? Either you give up and pay attention to whoever did you wrong, which is okay. Most people do it. Oh, but it was so unfair, whatever they did. It was so unkind, whatever someone told me. The person that we were driving, when we were driving here, someone cut me off. It was so unfair. You get this done to you all the time, right? Most of us get this done. It was so unkind the way someone shook my hand or looked at me. Either you pay attention to the person and whatever they did to you, or, and this is what I suggest, you shift your eyes from whoever did this to you, did a bad thing to you, and you shift it and start looking at the good things that the Lord right next to you can do for you and has been doing. The Lord of the universe versus whoever called you a bad name. The one that can change lives. The one you're blaming for something that happened to your life. The one that can give you life, restore you completely, is right next to you. Either you pay attention to whatever put you down, or you pay attention to that one, the only one that can lift you up and transform you. The next verse I would like to talk about is this. You do not know what team this is, so I should have removed the stitches also from the ball. So we prayed. We were being missionaries. We were serving the Lord, working towards the Lord. And in this case, when I was working with refugees and people from low income, in a Monday or so, I started feeling something in my abdomen, in the middle of my abdomen. And I thought it was my gastritis because I also have gastritis for many years. I said, it's the same pain. But it wasn't. So Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, same thing. Thursday, that's when I told my wife, I don't think I can continue on. In reality, it started on Friday, but it was light. But on Thursday, that's when I had to leave early in the morning, 3 a.m., to the hospital. And nasty stuff happened in the way, through the window. I will not say it, but if you can imagine, please don't. By the time I got to the hospital, I was looking like this. They sent me home again. Even though my exams were messed up, there was no chance for me because I was really dying from, you can guess it, appendicitis. For 5 days, I was battling with this. And they sent me home even though in Chattanooga, the exam was saying, yes, there is an infection, serious infection happening, the blood work that they did. So I was almost dying. That's when I had to go back to the hospital again with my wife. After seeing another doctor, she said, you have a severe case of appendicitis. Go back to the hospital and say this. So they saw me. In less than 20 minutes, I had done 2 blood works already. CT scan or MRI or something that they had to do. I had been seen by 2 different teams of doctors. Not doctors, teams of doctors. And in very little time, I was already going my way to the operation room. And this is me with morphine in my body, but I was just hating the sensation. I never took morphine before this time, and I every time I go to the hospital, if anything, I say, please don't give me morphine. It's just weird. I was looking around. My wife asked me, are you ready? I said, yeah, I'm dressed up, on my way. She said, no, not this. Are you ready? If you rest now. There was a very big possibility of me not making it. What was seen again in my life? Heaps of rubble. There was no chance. I could not overcome this. Therefore, hospital. What in your life is something that you are not being able to overcome or see a bright future? Think about that now. There is no chance for this to work out. There is no chance for my education to work out. My finances, my marriage is in heaps of rubble. My family is in heaps of rubble. Churches now are becoming empty. In heaps of rubble, yes. But people are not coming to church anymore. Christianity is becoming what? Heaps of rubble. Can you imagine Christianity becoming something so of little meaning that people simply don't come to church or simply don't study their Bible because it's just so trivial. Is there any chance for someone to be revived after this? Maybe. So on my way to the surgery room, after praying with my wife again, I was saying, trust in the Lord. He will guide your surgery. Trust in Him, and He will see you through this. He has prepared a doctor for you. He has prepared a medical team. On that day, my wife read something, her daily devotional, and it was saying to her, don't worry, whatever you had before, you shall not have it anymore. The person was cured. I still had to go through surgery. So she was praying but trusting the Lord. So another, not this one, okay. Psalm 116. At that moment, you keep remembering Bible verses. Something that speaks very loudly to me is this: I love the Lord because He has heard my voice and my pleas for mercy. If you have ever experienced this, you're calling for help. You're calling for help. Please help. You fell from somewhere and there's no one to help you. You fell on the ground and you spend outside 30 minutes on the ground calling for help and nobody comes to help you. You see the despair. You know the despair. Whenever you're crying to the Lord and the Lord gives you help, it is pleasing. It is a joyful time. This is the last story I would like to talk to you about. Is if you know this, you are not so happy because you had to use this also, right? Nobody used the mask here, or is it just me? We had to. Some people would not allow you to go into an establishment without a mask, or study without a mask, or go anywhere without a mask. So in this case, after 2020, we left that place that we were working at as volunteers in New York. They wanted to hire us. But working as a volunteer missionary, you don't make money. You make a stipend, very little. And I was already a few years in, and pandemic came along. And we were back in Brazil. All the money we had used already. Nothing was open. So you cannot work anywhere. You cannot do anything. So I decided to buy masks and sell it, because this is some way that you can make money. So we went to a place called City Hall. If you have ever been to yours, they have all the procedures and things that you have to do, talk to some people, because I wanted to provide them with masks. And as I said, I had no money, but I got in my mail a card from a bank account that I never thought I had money in it. So we went to this pharmacy and also to the City Hall, and I told Angel and my wife, of course, if we don't sell it, we will not have money. And Angel assumed, she was 3 by that time, 6 years old. If we don't have money, we will not be able to purchase food, but we had food at home. She said, okay, Dad, please sell those. I'll try my best. So I came back with the boxes in hand because the person responsible for that was not present. So by that time, she started crying. I said, okay, let me go to the bank and see if there's anything in this account. I had no idea about the password, but I did try something and it worked. And by the time I logged in, there was 2,300 reais, and we needed 1,300 to pay for our rent. And God still gave us 1,000 extra out of profit from a bank. Can you imagine this? Banks don't give you money, because the last time I used that bank account was 7 years ago. You don't profit from banks. Very little, less than 0.5% a month. But God gave me enough time not to mess with that account or forget about that account. So on that particular day, our prayers were answered. So mask, for me, it says a lot. So another thing that you can do whenever in distress, whenever there's no way out, you can look around. I lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the Maker of the heavens and earth. He will not let my foot slip. He will watch over you, will not, he who watches over you will not slumber. Let me ask you something. Whenever we read the first verses, there was all surrounding the town walls. They were restoring the walls whenever Sanballat was saying to them, you will never be able to restore the walls. And you read that Nehemiah is restoring the walls. But does it talk about the doors or the gates? Foundation is something that you can be rebuilding or restoring. They restored the walls. But there are parts in your life, in your experience, that you will never be able to take back after you go through a few things. That's why the gates were never restored. Can you relate to anything in your life that happened to you, but you were never able to retrieve it or get the same joy as before or have the same experience as before? Something changed in your life. Your relationship, your finances, or your school, your studies, or your future. The future does not look that bright anymore because part of your life has been consumed, has been burnt. As I said before, he who can restore everything from the ground is right next to you. You want proof that whatever can be restored? Jacob. What happened to Jacob? Everything around him got destroyed. He never got to see his mom again. He deceived his dad. He had to flee and leave. For 7 years he worked for a wife. Jacob, yes. Did I not say? Okay. So he worked for 7 years for his wife. Isn't that so? And he still got cheated. He could look around and say, my life is heaps of rubble. But he still chose to continue on and trust the Lord. Joseph. What happened to Joseph? He was happy. He was at home. Yeah, the other Joseph, not you, Jojo. Lower your hand, please. Thank you. So he kept being destroyed. He was sold into slavery. He was not just tempted. He was, well, set up. That's a better word. Unjustly. And he was sent to prison again. And in prison, he was not treated fairly. Can you say heaps of rubble? David, the amount of times that he messed up. People that died and still trusted the Lord, even though they died. Before dying, they said, our final moment, I still trust the Lord. Can you get more heaps of rubble than dying? What you become is what? Ashes or dust. What was the mean of creation that God used for most things that we see around us? He said something, let there be light, and light started to exist, right? He said, let there be water. Water started to exist. But when creating humankind, what was the mean of creation? Clay and dust. And breath, of course. Clay, dust. This is his mean of creation. Of humankind. Whatever you have gone through, if your life has been consumed, if your life has been destroyed, if your hopes for the future have been destroyed, if something is messing up your will to live, if something is not right, if something seems to be heaps of rubble, dust is God's means of creation. He can transform something that is gone, destroyed, burnt, put aside, and he can create something so marvelous, such as humankind. He can restore your life. So I urge you today, so we can close this out. I urge you today, even though your life, you have suffered, you have faced challenges, despite all this, I urge you to surrender your life to the Lord. Take up your cross, because whatever you have and whatever you are, if you put your life in the hands of the Lord, no one will ever be able to snatch it. Trust the Lord that He's able to push the wheelbarrow, because it takes for your decision to be part of the equation in order for things to work out. It takes for you to trust Him, even though it may cost you something, even though it may seem that your future is not so bright. It takes for you to decide to trust Him and jump in the wheelbarrow and walk with Him. May the Lord be praised. The last thing I would like to talk to you is not to us, Lord, not to our honor and glory, but to your honor and glory. Please deliver us. So I pray that you have a blessed week. I pray that the Lord continue to guide your life.